What's up? Welcome back to another exciting edition of Popcorn Bucket List. We got a really spicy one for you here today. And actually, it's not really that spicy. It's just me by myself. Nick, unfortunately, I don't know if it was Dimitri or the high school speech team, but he is no longer on the show. Just for today. Got some cool movies coming out. I can't find them because they're on the laptop. I think he just went to the bathroom, I hope. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking like a goof down here. And my Wi-Fi doesn't work, so...
Welcome to another episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Hopefully you all survived Easter, I think it was.
Yeah. Yep.
It gets really confusing because we record these like a week in advance. So, like, I'm always confused what movie's coming out. People will ask me, like, oh, what to watch? I'm like, oh, this. I'm like, wait, no, that doesn't come out for another, like, 2 weeks.
Yep, like, I got super pumped for the Northman. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to watch that this weekend. I'm going to go see it tonight. And it's like, oh, nope. It's next week.
It's
next week.
That's the worst part is we'll talk, we'll rave about these movies. It's like, we can't see it for another 7 days.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies we've seen that we talked about, Secrets of Dumbledore, I had a little bit of a rant on it last week. I hate it when I'm right.
That bad.
Oh, okay, I won't say that bad, but I will say all the problems I had before are not fixed in this movie.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. But I'm saying this because I just want to point out there, I feel like people think I want to get mad at these things and I want to hate these things. I feel like people talk about that like with major critics all the time, whatever. Like, well, they just hate movies. No, they don't hate movies. You think I want to go into every movie and be like, it's a 50-50 chance that I'm going to like it? No, I want to go into every movie and leave it saying, I loved it. Because why? I'm paying for it to love it.
Yep.
I want to. I want nothing more than for one of these rants and then for the next week it'd be like, I was wrong. I was 100% wrong. I wanted nothing more than to tell you people out here that I was wrong, but not my fault. I'm almost always right. Sorry.
One of these days it'll happen.
One of these days, and I look forward to that day. But let's talk about some of the ones that are coming up this week. It's time for the weekly preview. Friday, April 22nd is the day we're talking about here. First and foremost, let's talk about a animated movie, The Bad Guys. This is coming straight to theaters. In the trailer, they play like Billie Eilish's Bad Guy.
Yeah.
And
it paid almost a lot for that, I bet.
Yeah. It almost, because the trailer goes so long with the music, it almost feels like someone listened to Bad Guy and just made a movie around it. I feel like we've seen people do like album movies or whatever, or create some story with multiple songs or whatever. I'm almost impressed. They did a whole movie off of one song.
Yeah. That whole song is the trailer.
It really is.
Yeah. The movie itself looks like your traditional, hey, we're the bad guys, but we got to pretend to be good so we can be bad. But now I'm going to be good because I'm bad, but I'm good, you know?
I don't know. This movie does seem really interesting to me. When I saw it a couple of years ago in Wreck-It Ralph, at one point, I think he literally does say, I don't want to be the bad guy anymore. And immediately I was like, isn't that what Ralph said in Wreck-It Ralph? But maybe I'm wrong. But we're going to take a hard turn into a different genre here. If two movies could be more opposite of each other, I have yet to see it. The Northman. This movie should have just been the tagline, Ryan Meyerberg, come check this out.
I can't wait.
You got Dafoe, the William Dafoe. You got all this Vikings, these kingdoms. You got Anna Taylor-Joy. I mean, it looks kind of crazy, but I'm kind of for it.
I am so pumped for this movie. I love Robert Eggers films. I remember I first saw The Witch in Sioux Falls, and I was like, holy nuts. This is a wild movie. Just wild. Everything about it's different than I've seen in a long time. And then he came out with The Lighthouse, another crazy movie. William Dafoe, Robert Pattinson, just killed it. Oh, beautiful movie. And now with the Northman, when I heard that he was making this movie about with like some Norse mythology and paganism and Vikings, and it's your classic I would say Lion King, Macbeth story of uncle kills father, with the mom, then the boy's pushed off to the side, and then story of revenge. And I love a good revenge story, but set with Vikings. And the Vikings, they were crazy, but they're crazy. They've done, if you go into like Viking mythology and like what real Vikings were, they weren't all just pillaging and capturing and killing. A lot of it is, yes, and they did some terrible things, but there's a lot more to it than that. And I'm just beyond ecstatic to watch this. The cinematography looks awesome, dark, brutal, and William Dafoe.
I've been trying to pay attention to what you say, but once you pointed out the poster, I looked, and it looks like he's looking right at me. It's like almost the size of my face.
Yep. If you get a black light out, there's something in his eye you can see. So
but
cool.
People don't have access to this poster, so that's
true. Go watch the Batman ARG video if you haven't seen it, because
is that just gonna be a running gag now? You're just gonna tease that every episode now?
Yeah, might as well check it out.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it.
All right. Whatever.
Then check out Batman.
But you're excited about the Northman. This next movie is one that I'm probably the most excited for. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Nic Cage.
Yes.
At peak. We thought we've seen peak Nic Cage. Nic Cage. We've been saying it for years. We've seen peak Nic Cage. Nic Cage saw that and said, "Hold my beer."
Hold my beer.
This is peak Nic Cage. He's hanging out with Pedro Pascal, who's playing a character. They're just going crazy. It just it's basically based off, roughly, I guess you could say, of Nic Cage's life, how he's made investments and he just needs to take any gig he can.
Yeah.
I'm so on board with this movie. As I watched the trailer, I was so going for it until they introduced a plot. At a certain point in this trailer, all of a sudden he's taken by CIA people, one of them being played by Tiffany Haddish. I love Tiffany Haddish.
Yeah.
You don't need to introduce a plot here. They're like, oh, yeah, he's like a drug kingpin. We need you to infiltrate him and all that. I'm like, no, none of that. No, just have Nic Cage and Pedro Pascal hang out for hour and a half. I will I'm not kidding. God is my witness, hand on my heart. I will pay money to watch an hour and a half of just Nic Cage and Pedro Pascal hanging out.
Yeah.
You don't need to add a plot.
Yeah.
Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be.
That's definitely what you get from the first half of the trailer.
Yeah.
Them just like, oh, yeah, some rich dude's party. Yeah, I'll come.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Neil Patrick Harris is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
You
go.
can have Tiffany Haddish in this movie. I don't care. She can hang out with him too.
Yeah.
Whatever. Just don't add a plot to this.
Yeah.
You're making it more complicated than it needs to be.
I think it's going to be so funny.
The other ones we're just kind of got to brush past here. The other one coming out is Polar Bear on Disney+.
Yeah.
I wrote in my outline before I watched the trailer that said, haven't watched the trailer yet, but I'm just going to assume it's a documentary about polar bears. Right next to it, I go, I was right.
Yeah. Now, the question is, are they going to talk about the global warming impact?
Oh, we're going to talk about
the
the global warming.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned in the trailer.
What
but
if
you know it's going to happen.
Yeah, what if who's that ex-vice president or whatever?
Al Gore.
What if Al Gore is narrating it? Wouldn't that be awesome?
They didn't take me serious.
They didn't take me serious, guys.
And then finally coming out this weekend, only on HBO Max, The Survivor. A boxing movie. So immediately I was a little turned off on this. There's so many boxing movies that essentially, if you're not part of the Rocky franchise, you just kind of get blown under the dust. People don't really pay attention to it too much. This one, however, is based off a true story about a man named Harry Haft, I believe. It takes place during World War II, Nazi invasion of Poland. This man is captured, and he's put in the terrible predicament of basically his captors forced him to fight to essentially survive for their amusement. Now he has to kind of deal with this post-World War II world where he's still boxing.
Yep.
How does one grapple with that? How does one deal with that psychologically? I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, and it's a very, I would say, moody movie. It looks like some of the scenes look black and white. Some of it's very.
Probably not going to get a lot of laughs.
No. Yeah, it's nice to see Ben Foster actually getting more of a serious main role. He's in a couple of serious films and but he's always the number 2 or number 3 guy, or he's a bad guy, or he's a thug number 4 or something like that. And this is this is all him, true drama film, and I'm really excited to see that because I like him as an actor. Like you said, Hell or High Water, another great movie, but like he's the side guy in it. It's not necessarily about him.
But that is everything coming out this weekend, at least a lot of the major releases. One place you can check these out, see if they're there, Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. Just went through a pretty good clean. I know I can attest to personally. Part of the cleaning crew there. We spiffed that place up. It's all nice and shiny. So come check it out. Great concessions, great times, great movies.
And speaking of concessions,
here we go.
I know you guys have all just eaten up that R&R combo.
You're going to have to start sending me some statistics that prove this or not.
I just want you to know that the Reese's may or may not be there. They're going fast.
They're probably going to still be there.
They're going fast. So, when you get there, make sure to check it out right away. Hop on the R&R combo because the Reese's, they go quick. If you're a little late, you might not get it. So I'm just letting you know. The R&R combo is going hot, so just keep your eye out. Keep your eye out.
He says these things, and I just... This is why I have trust issues.
The Reese's are out. I just checked yesterday. The Reese's are gone.
By the time this episode comes out, though, that won't necessarily be the case.
You never know. You got to get them while they're there. Get them while it's hot.
All right, whatever. Speaking things that are hot, let's talk about some number one recommends. These are some of the favorite movies or TV shows that we've watched recently that we feel you all should check out. Ryne, why don't you go first? I know you were kind of debating about it.
So I'm going on Eli Roth, History of Horror. Now, this is a few years old. However, I just recently watched it on Amazon Prime. Eli Roth and a plethora of directors, producers, Hollywood people, everybody from like Quentin Tarantino, Jordan Peele, all kinds of people talk about like hit horror movies and like just the history of them, like Pinhead, all your classic slashers, but also your psychos, your psychological thrillers, just kind of like how they happened, maybe the inspiration behind them, some of the common themes in a lot of horror movies, and also like genre breaking films. So it's worth a watch if you enjoy that, like the history part of it. I'd definitely say give it a watch.
All right, so my recommend, this is actually something I meant to recommend about a month ago, but then in tying with the Batman, and then I recommended some other things or I forgot, but since the Batman is coming out on HBO Max this week, I thought it'd be a good time to bring it up. Out of all the theatrical Batmans, this one is my number 3rd. The Dark Knight will probably always be my number 1, but my number 2 is Batman Mask of the Phantasm. This movie has some of the best elements of some of the best Batmans. When you look at Batman Begins, that's a great origin story. When you look at The Dark Knight, it shows like, okay, here's how he's doing in the middle of his journey kind of thing. This movie has a great combo of both.
Okay.
It doesn't show like the origin of his training, but it kind of shows like his first like tries of being a vigilante in Gotham. But it also like talks about there's almost a roadblock. Like in this series, he almost doesn't become Batman because of one simple thing. And some of the scenes around that and the debate he has in his head and the torture that he's going through is some of the best Batman. And this is coming from like an animated series, but Kevin Conroy is one of the best Batmans because of how he's able to voice and portray Bruce Wayne and Batman at the same time. Yeah, it's just a great movie. It's on HBO Max. I think I rewatched it in preparation for Batman and totally forgot how good this movie was. It's my number 2 favorite Batman film of all time. So
all right.
It's worth a check out.
Perfect.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. If you have any of your own recommendations, let us know, whether it's on the street, in the comments down below. You could send us a letter if you want to. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend doing that. The postage price really wouldn't be worth it.
If you do have owls that deliver mail, like in
Harry Potter,
feel free.
Or if you want to go the Muggle route, a carrier pigeon will work too.
Yep.
We are not responsible for what happens to the pigeon to and from delivery of message, but let us know however you want to let us know, really. But for myself and Ryan Meyerberry, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.
Spider-Man.
Why are we doing Spider-Man?
Because he's cool.
Okay.